Hello. Thought I'd show you my new body. Oh, that'll do. Cheers. Hello. Okay, thought I'd do another video. Let me just raise you. There we go. I did a time lapse, so the camera was on a bit of a slant. I did a time lapse of this, which you might have seen over on Ishi Art, which I'm happy with. Nice to pick up the old paintbrushes after all this time, really, and it has been a while. It seems to have been, well, it seems to have been months, but I don't think it was really. I think it was just a number of weeks, but it's all good really. So quick update really, doing well, feeling well. I'm getting less pain now, which is really good. The pains that I'm getting are kind of stabbing type pains, but they don't last too long, so we're okay. Whatever you get, you know, you're alive, you're well, you're doing much better, and you're in recovery, and life will be good, you know, and life is good, but it's going to get better. So you know, whatever you got to put up with, you got to put up with, really. So I thought we'd have a chat and a Slurpee. Cheers. So the way I think about life is, I think it's a mixture between suffering and healing. And I think we all go through various stages of that. Hopefully we get more healing in our life than we do suffering, but sadly some people have more suffering. I don't see that there's an in-between anywhere. I think it's either one camp or the other. It's either the suffering or the healing. And the healing can be lots of things, couldn't it? You know, when you find your partner, when you your first child is born or whatever, that's healing, you know. Or going on holiday is healing. Going camping maybe is healing. Having a nice meal can be healing. A good night's sleep can be healing. Whatever, you know, a nice conversation with a friend is healing. Just spending time with loved ones, or quiet times, or doing your art or whatever, reading a book is healing. So we know all that, but then the suffering does come in, and the suffering can be poor health, can be poor mental health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, and lots of other things as well. You know, bad things can happen perhaps within the family or to your friends or in life in general, or perhaps we spend too much time reading newspapers or watching telly or whatever, and we allow things in that perhaps are none of our concern, and that brings on suffering. Obviously depression and anxiety, things like that, they're all a form of suffering to varying degrees. So that's what I believe, is that life is suffering and life is healing as well. And there's a thing, isn't there, called the work-life balance, and we all know what that means, but I think there's a thing called the suffering healing balance, and I think it's a matter of trying to get that right as much as possible, you know. And I suppose what I mean about that is not let too much of that suffering in if you can, because sometimes suffering can be avoidable. And I just said, you know, watching TV or whatever, or thinking about all this COVID malarkey, or listening to the government spiel, reading newspaper stories, all that stuff. If you don't let that in, live your life in your little bubble, live it your way, don't let that in, then that doesn't cause any suffering. So sometimes suffering can, you know, we can allow it in. But as I say, with like the work-life balance, maybe there is a suffering and healing balance, and perhaps the healing, we need to add more of that into our lives. And healing can be different to everybody. It can be, as I said, a good night's sleep. Going to bed early perhaps can be healing. Having a nice meal can be healing. Perhaps phoning a friend or family member or whatever, perhaps that can be healing. Sitting in the sunshine, whatever, you know, so you find your way, and whatever works for you is the right way. healing and suffering. Of course, we then get bombarded with stuff, don't we? Like, as I say, medical stuff and what have you that is beyond our control. Especially when it's kind of life-threatening and it's a major surgery that you've got to have and all the rest of it. And that brings on a lot of different things, including sometimes anxiety, which it did in my case. But just general worry and fear about the surgery, about how is your life going to be after, how long are you going to heal for, things like that, you know. So it brings on some fears, some worries, some concerns and what have you. But again, if we don't allow too much of that in, because ultimately what will be, you know, ultimately. And yeah, we can change, I think we can change the path of things a little bit as we sort of journey through this life. But ultimately what will be, and we have to just accept that really and just go with the flow as much as possible. But going with the flow can be healing because there's less worry, less fear, less trepidation and less concern. Just going with the flow. Just my thoughts for today. So yeah, it's all good. Life is good and good gets better. I had to say that. So I'm just having a Slurpee while I chill out. I'll just quickly show you two more paintings. I've now completed this one. Okay, and I am working on this one. Now with this one, I'm thinking about making the pond much larger and having a duck leave the pond, so there'll be dripping water off the duck going back to the pond. You'll see it one day, perhaps. Okay, whatever you're doing, take care of yourself, take care of each other. We'll be back another day, and try and add more healing to your life if possible. Think how to add it, think where to get it from, think how not to allow certain bits of suffering into your life, and be as well as you can be. Take care and be well. Ta-da.